Everybody, welcome to Screaming Boy Productions. We are. It seems to go around. It's gone through several shows, so I'll just go ahead and say it. We're live.
Yes, we are.
We're live, pal. So we got to throw our thanks to the Figure Forecast for starting that and letting us. Well, they didn't really let us. We just kind of stole it. So we are so glad to be here and be live and be with whoever's watching right now, which is probably nobody, but that's okay. We got
live and alive, if you will.
Yeah, I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah.
That works.
That is the voice of good Stephen Marsh, who has joined us tonight, along with Jesse Starcher from the Source Material
Source
Miracle. Source Miracle.
I'm in the business. Business of miracles.
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 Macrophanes, Hercules. What are these?
Oh, wow. From the Source Material Podcast, and as always, you know, we like to say, and we know that they are part of the Screaming Boy family. So tonight is very special because on Sunday, a re-release of a childhood classic, one that we've all remember, and only one of us got to rewatch.
Yeah.
but that we all remember and we all love, and I would really like to have. I'm glad I didn't watch it again. I thought I owned it, but I don't, which is really sad. But I don't want it to not hold up over time. And what I'm talking about, we've tweeted it out, we've hit Facebook and Twitter and everything with it. It's the NeverEnding Story from 1984.
I thought we were talking about the Nintendo Entertainment System tonight.
It's easy to confuse the two.
True story. So, because I like to type as little as possible in our Facebook chats and stuff like that when we're preparing for shows, I abbreviate, and I actually picked it up from Jesse Starcher, and I picked it up from Stephen Marsh because they'll abbreviate things at times. And so
we invented it.
Yes, you did. Abbreviations started with Jesse Starcher and Stephen Marsh.
Copyright.
I
invented the little C with the circle around it. That's an abbreviation right there.
He copyrighted a copyright.
Boom!
Wow, that's probably the smartest thing anybody's ever done.
Inception.
Inception, yes. So I, preparing for this, I said, hey, we're going to talk about NES tonight, capital N, capital E, capital S.
I'm okay with that. We can change it up if you'd like.
So anyway, no, we're this far into it. We're going to stick with it. I'm off. Thank you for throwing me off the rails there because I started thinking about Nintendo. But so I'm talking to Jesse and I said, yeah, we're talking about NES, NeverEnding Story, you know, and then
No, it was we're talking NES.
Yeah, we're talking about NES. Yes.
And here I thought
I meant was NeverEnding Story. Starcher, you're gonna make me look bad.
No. I'm gonna tell this story like it needs to be told. Now he says NES, so I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the message, and I'm like, you know, we had our little post-production meeting at the end of the last show, and I remember you saying NeverEnding Story. I was like, I might be in on that, I might not be. We'll see. Then you send me the message today talking about the NES, and I'm like, what? When did you guys talk about doing this show? I want to be in on this show. When is it going to happen? And you're like, hey, we're talking about it tonight, man.
So you came into this whole thing thinking, man, Super Mario Brothers was the bomb.
1988. I can remember my first NES. I got it for Christmas. Played it on my it was a color Montgomery Ward TV. We'll get to
Oh,
that. That's
man.
another podcast, folks.
Yeah, really.
That
That
is
is a
a-
good podcast. That is a great one.
So before we talk about things that haven't, come to fruition yet, let's talk about the thing that has the never-ending. Anyway, the story goes. I was talking about NeverEnding Story. I abbreviated it to NES, and Jesse apparently didn't read anything that I was writing and thought I was talking about Nintendo. And I'm going to try to make myself look good in this.
Go right ahead. This is your show. Please tell all the lies you want.
So, and then I found $5 because that story was going nowhere. Anyway, but we're going to talk about NeverEnding Story tonight, and for what we loved about it, what we remember, what Stephen had, Stephen Marsh, what he thinks of it now.
Only
as
one that
opposed
did his research.
Oh,
He's good,
I
Stephen
would
Marsh,
have.
for a reason.
I would have. But the last time I checked, because I remember watching it this past over the summer, and it was with my kids, and I had to turn it off because it just got to be to the point where like they were sitting there watching it with that whole look. They were like, "What?" and I mean, he's 2 and 4. They're 2 and 4, and they just don't get it. So I was like, maybe it's a little too old for them. So I went back to rewatching it. It's like $7 to rent on Hulu or Amazon.
Good Lord.
Or whatever. And I was like, well,
it's like you could get it in the
supply and
$5
demand
bargain
at its
bin.
finest. Yeah,
You
could have had it not been released this week.
Yeah. But anyway,
Hey,
so
looky there.
hey, so look at you.
Look
You
at
got
me.
both
Yeah.
of them.
Hey, look, I have the DVD. Hey, look, I didn't watch it.
Well, you have a good reason. So Sunday, September the 4th, it will be hitting theaters again in a limited showing. To 32 years later. 32 years later. So it's hard to believe that this movie is 32 years old.
That's crazy.
And there are so many wonderful childhood memories about watching this movie and watching it over and over. It's one of the few movies that my mom didn't mind me watching, on a rainy day or whatever. She'd say, "Hey, NeverEnding Story's on," so we'd sit and watch it together, or she'd fix dinner or whatever, and I'd be watching it. And of course, when Dad came home, he was like, "What is this?" But it was one of those movies that falls along in the same feel, but not really, as like Goonies and things like that. Would you all agree with that? Because it's a childhood adventure movie.
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely. It starts out with the childhood adventure movie, but it quickly moves into the whole 100% fantasy realm, which is phenomenal, I think.
Yeah. What were you saying, Steven?
Oh, I said I agreed. It's a great documentary.
Documentary
of the one kid that got bullied.
I
See,
want
I-
to live
See,
in the
this
world
is
where
what
you
you,
live in, my friend.
see, this is what you guys need to do your research, because when she's explaining to Bastion, or when she's explaining to Atreyu that Bastion is living through Atreyu while he's living the book, we're also living through the story as it's told through the film. So therefore, it's a documentary.
All right.
That got way
Well,
deep.
all right then. That was.
I don't remember
Jeez,
this.
guys.
I don't remember that movie being that complex.
Oh, it is.
I'll be educated tonight. I can't wait.
I'm gonna have to
Well-
spend that $7.
Okay.
Just give it to
So-
good Stephen Marsh.
Yeah, he'll explain everything to you. How it's a documentary.
And take it away.
So we're just going to let Steven run the show tonight, because apparently he knows things that we don't about this movie. So
He knows things. He's seen things.
he's seen,
I've seen things.
he's
tragic
seen
things.
many things. Which we just got tweeted by, once again, our wonderful friend at Dave G Pie, saying that he's more of a Time Bandits kind of guy. Time Bandits is something that
Bandits.
Dave.
I
we're
want to
going to watch that.
Fist bump on Time Bandits. Right there. There you go. All right.
Dave, you're going to come on the show, and we're going to talk some Time Bandits. So if you agree to that, then just tweet us, and we will set up a date where we could come on where you can come on and chill with us and talk a little bit of Time Bandits and the influences it had on your life, other than being a swashbuckling hero. Hey, man, he is. Pardon me. So, still had this lingering cough, so I apologize. So, NeverEnding Story. When you were a kid, okay, we'll start with Stephen, and we'll go down the line. Stephen, Jesse, Adam. When you were a kid, what was the main attraction that drew you to watch this movie? Now, because looking at just pictures of it and catching glimpses of it, I mean, for some kids, it can be just pure nightmare fuel. But
yes,
I mean, seriously. Yes. But so, what really drew you, or what do you think drew you to this? Because some of us may have watched it, when the first time we watched it, maybe too young to remember that. The memories may be too far away. But what do you think would have drawn you, or did draw you to watch this?
I've always been like that weird person that, like, when everybody else was doing like the main thing or whatever, I was off doing weird stuff. Like when people were like, "Oh, football," like I was like, "Give me a telescope." Like I was just always into like whatever everyone else was doing. Like
at least he didn't say Teletubby.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
Give me a Teletubby.
Well, the thing about it is, there's all kinds of things wrong with the Teletubbies, my friend. So,
my kids were just watching them earlier this week. I kid you not.
Man.
Colton was watching them on YouTube.
The baby in the sun. Okay. Anyway, so we'll talk about Teletubbies. Steve, I wouldn't say that the things that interested you were weird, different maybe from others. Growing up in a small
norm.
Growing up in a small town like I did, and I guess everybody here did. It was always football, basketball, baseball. But I was the kid that wanted to play tennis, or I was the kid that that would rather sit outside and read, or like you said, grab a telescope or things like that. I remember one year I asked for a metal detector.
Oh, dude,
that's so awesome!
11 years old, I did the exact same thing.
So, Jesse, did you?
Dude, I have been interested in getting a metal detector all the way up until probably, still nowadays, if I can find one cheap at an auction, which I have at one point and had to turn it down. But I was like, man, we're talking like $10, dude. I'm kidding you not. It was a metal detector that went for $10. I know, man. I always wanted to get a hold of one of those, and just we all had those fun little interesting hobbies that we may not have had a chance to get into because, number one, they were too expensive.
Yeah.
Or because, dude, I remember talking to my mom into getting, this is way off topic, but back in the day as a kid, I was really interested in CB and ham radios. And I can remember talking to my mom to getting, I talked her into getting those walkie-talkies that were probably about this big. They were 40-channel CB walkie-talkies from
like this.
Finger Hut. Do you remember?
Finger Hut. I got a Finger Hut catalog in the mail the other day.
That is actually way too small. These things were huge, and the antenna came out for half a mile. You could probably touch the guy you were trying to talk to. But yeah,
have you seen this antenna? It's freaking huge.
That's pretty big, dude. What is that thing? Is that a scanner?
No, it's a handheld. It's a handheld radio. It's a CB radio. Actually, it's a ham radio. Yeah, like I at one point wanted to get my ham radio license, and I still do. I would love to be able to get it.
Oh, dude, same here, man.
But I just
haven't. About to call in an airstrike in World War II with
yeah, stick it on a backpack and run and jump into a trench.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing. I love it. So, Jesse, tell us about what you think could have attracted you to NeverEnding Story.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be, what really, as a kid, we're talking, you said this is 32 years old. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, 1984.
Yeah.
July 20th, 1984, it was released here in the States. Now, I was all of 6 years old at that point in time, so I really didn't have much of a say to the movies that I was going to go watch or anything like that. but my mom did. And what was really popular at that point in time in the mid-'80s, I think it was popular. I think they were probably on their way out, was the drive-through. Excuse me, the drive-in, not the drive-through theater, because that would suck.
That would be absolutely pointless.
Wait,
there are the credits.
I'm still watching.
No, you're just going through the drive-through and you're watching people put together like sandwiches. That's all you'd be doing. That's the drive-through theater right there. No, this was the drive-in, and my mom and my stepdad at the time, we would go to the drive-in and sit down and watch, film. Now there are a few films that I'll never forget watching. 6 years old, that's, man, to keep a memory from that specific time, that's pretty big. And NeverEnding Story was one of them. You guys want to know the other two movies that I remember seeing at the drive-thru? Drive-in, not the drive-through, the drive-in. Just get that straight. The drive-in. I went to way more drive-throughs than drive-in, so you can forgive me for that.
You need to go make a sandwich or something, man.
Yeah.
But okay, here we go. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
All right, and and the third one, which my parents.
It's Electric Boogaloo.
Why my mom thought this would be a good idea, because it absolutely scarred me for life. Somehow, some way, they got me, or decided it was a good idea to take me to Children of the Corn.
Oh, my Lord.
Yes. All right, now I've never watched that movie again because I was so scared of it in 1984. And nowadays it's nothing. I don't think it's, of course, I haven't watched it, so I don't know, but a lot of people love that movie. I'm too scared of it. Steven, stop laughing.
Jesse has the hardest time living in Ohio. There's just cornfields everywhere. It's like, nope, not this road.
You have no idea how traumatized I was after watching that movie and seeing stuff like that.
I 100% believe that, because that is a terrifying movie, even as an adult. Because you're thinking, it's like, man, like we just had a hurricane down here, right? And I lost power for what seemed like an eternity, but it was only like 45 minutes. But I thought at some point, I looked at my wife. I was like, all right, we're gonna have to establish a P corner. Where's that gonna be? But
oh, Lord.
if crap hits the fan.
You gotta be ready.
And
he's prepared.
The whole point, I say that to say this: if I happen upon a community that's inhabited by nothing but children,
I'm not
even gonna keep on driving. I'm gonna turn around and go around the town, because if I keep on driving, they're gonna follow me. I have to backtrack. I have to backtrack on my own tracks and try to lose them at the pass.
My sister used to torture me with Children of the Corn, and for the longest time as a kid, I thought the name Malachi was always only given to evil people. And I was like,
he goes up to Amish country. He's like buying butter. He's like, "What's your name, Malachi? Do not buy butter from this guy." No.
Or just scream like a girl and run away.
The devil butter.
The devil butter.
The devil cheese.
Furniture made by Malachi, not Michael.
Butter of the
Don't
damned.
Sit in that. Don't sit in that. Butter of the... You win.
But Jesse, go ahead with what attracted you, or what you think attracted you to NeverEnding Story.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's the fantasy aspect. There are moments in this film that, seriously, I wanted to watch this film with my kids. I know we're going to get into why we probably shouldn't, but I wanted to, because it made that much of a lasting impact on me. There are scenes in this film that I'll never forget. I fell in love with Falcor. I can remember, the guy walking up, and this is all straight from memory, more than probably close to 30 years old, but I can remember the guy walking up to like the statues with the eyes.
The oracles,
never forget
the Southern
that.
Oracle.
Oh, the oracles, yeah.
See, you guys are going to have to help me, because there's a lot of stuff that I can see in my head, but I have no idea what it is. And the guy goes up there, and all of a sudden the I-beams just come down and obliterate him.
Yeah, that's the Southern Oracle. That scared the daylights out of me.
Dude,
when I was little.
40 years, and I'll never forget it.
The reason that I remember it was because they were pretty anatomically correct.
All right.
I'll just say it. They had huge boobs.
Okay.
And as a kid, I remember looking at them like, those things are naked. And my mom, I remember my mom going, well, that's just unnecessary. And like, trying
That's
to avert
hilarious.
my eyes and watch it at the same time. I'm like, these two naked girls are trying to kill Atreyu. What's going on? They're shooting laser beams. It was
It's
terrifying.
not that kind of movie.
It's not. This is a movie for kids, right? But yeah, the fantasy aspect. Adam, I can almost guess your answer to this, but the same question.
Well, what actually attracted me to this, and it's the most nerdy story in the entire world, because when this first came out, I was a whopping 1 year old. So,
One.
I didn't actually see it until probably early '90s. I'm gonna say at the latest, it was about 1990. So I was probably 7, maybe. Anyway, Bastion is what actually
Yeah.
he would.
Well, there it is.
He would run. Like he was being chased by the bullies, and and Major, if I remember correctly, isn't what's his
Good
face?
old
His dad?
Gerald Rainey.
Yeah, that's his dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I remember him, just kind of having this strained relationship with his dad. Not that I have a strained relationship with my dad, but at the time I was bullied when I was a kid. I mean, big time. And it always, I could relate to Bastion because he got picked on, and he skipped school, and I could relate. I'll relate to him. So what I ended up doing was watching this movie and thinking, oh, okay. And this was the movie for me that said, okay, there is a world outside there other than the one that I'm in. And I can read it, I can play Dungeons and Dragons, and I can get away from all of this stuff that just is a crappy part of this world. It was an escape for me, So Bastion Balthazar Bucks was the reason that I actually really liked this movie. But then I started, as we talked about Falcor, the Luck Dragon, that was a really cool part of it. But it was a very, very creative movie, and I think that it spurred a lot of the creativity that I have now. I was a musician for I don't know how long, and I can look at something and I can figure out, I can see the creativity and things. Now I think this is the movie, as far as I can tell, this is the movie that really spurred that whole mindset of for the rest of my life. So this movie is, to me, is very I would say personal.
Okay.
Was that the answer you were looking for?
Well, I wasn't looking. Yes. I think my answer to that would be the same as yours. It's a wonderful, a childhood fantasy movie. It is personal because Bastion was picked on and things like that for being different, for wanting to read, for not being like the other guys, and not just being different, and then his escape was diving into this book, and it took him to a world, a fantasy world that ended up being real. So
yeah, I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And when I was a kid, if you wanted to, I didn't have, by any means, I didn't have a bad childhood. But yes, as a child, you have some that are I was picked on. I'll admit it. Junior high, tortured. So you have your certain escapes that you want to go through. So that's why this movie was close to me through childhood. It started off like, oh, this is cool. This looks good because I like different things. I like the fantasy aspect of it, and as I went along and watched it several times throughout childhood, up into right before the preteen years and the teenage years, it was a little more personal for me. So just like Adam, so if you don't know what the NeverEnding Story is, then daggone it, go rent it or buy it or watch it on demand or something. You're missing out, maybe. But NeverEnding Story is it was made in 1984, as we said. It was produced in West Germany, and but it was done in the English language, and it's an epic fantasy film based on the novel of the same name, NeverEnding Story, by Michael Ende. and it's about a boy, Bastion, who reads a magical book that tells the story of a young warrior, Atreyu, whose task is to stop a dark storm called the Nothing from engulfing a fantasy world. Now, one of the scariest things I remember as a kid was the Nothing, because honestly, you never really saw it, right? Well, you saw it at the end, but throughout the thing, it was so much suspense because basically, I remember a camera going through the woods, not like Evil Dead, but I just remember like it was, I can't remember if that was the wolf too running, but it was terrifying to think that it was called the Nothing, because it was like it said, it's a storm, and how do you stop this? As a young kid who's the same age as Bastion in this movie, Atreyu, the hero of our story, the other hero of our story, it has to go against this entity, this evil being, and you don't really know how to stop it, and you have to get, it wants to destroy your whole world. So to me, that was a little more frightening than the creatures throughout the movie. What about you guys?
I can tell you that as a kid, I didn't understand what the heck was going on. I remember like the kid that's reading the story, Bastion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Bastion's reading the story, and all of a sudden, all this stuff is happening between the fantasy world that's in the book that connects with what's going on in his world, which is pretty much just a storm. At least that's what I remember. Now, was and you guys help me out here. Mm-hmm. Was the Nothing also attacking his world at the same time, or was it just the fact that he was reading the book? Just coincidentally, there was a scary storm going on at the same time.
I think it was a coincidence that the storm was hitting at the same time.
Okay, yeah, I can clearly remember going, why is everybody freaking out? Because I didn't understand what the Nothing was, and as a kid, it was kind of over my head. Now, it's pretty scary. That's like the end all be all. Here it is, and that's it. It's going to be the end of whatever is there, and there will be nothing else left. So you can't get much better than a villain that's going to erase everything or end everything, the existence of everything, which I believe is what that thing was, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, but yeah, as far as me as a kid, it was just something that I was more in tune with. I was more in tune with Bastion and the fact that he was in this scary like library, and the storm hitting, and he's reading this stuff. I always thought like, well, the story's totally separate. Obviously, at the end, we see that I think he becomes part of the story.
Mm-hmm. He does, yeah.
And that was neat, but I was still like freaking out about this kid that's in this big building all by himself, and there's a storm outside. How's he going to get home? What about his mommy? That's
yeah.
But that was how it scared me. Marsh?
Now that I think about it, like as an adult, like I'm sure I saw other movies, but like as an adult, like not seeing like the villain or whatever, I think is much scarier than like having the horror villain come after someone. So I think that might be a little bit rooted like in me seeing this movie and like knowing that like even though the Nothing isn't like a person or an entity or whatever, like that was cool to see.
Now, the other question I have, we have so many characters that you can go through, and really either be terrified of them or love them, because there are some funny, freaky-looking characters in this.
Yeah, there is.
Oh my gosh! So the one of the most terrifying, of course, is Gmork, the giant wolf.
Gmork.
Gmork. Yeah. He was, of course, hideous and terrifying. But the one that I can remember, super depressing, but still awesome, was the Rockbiter.
Yes. Pronounce his name right now.
So, no, because it is
Do it.
ridiculous. I couldn't. Marsh, you've seen this movie. I was at a loss for words there for a second. Do you remember them pronouncing his name in the movie other than Rockbiter?
He's just the Rockbiter. Yeah. In the book, though, it's Bjorn Kratzark.
What?
Bjorn?
Watch out now.
Bjorn
This is a
Kratzark.
TV show.
You're going to have to bleep that out.
This is a family-friendly show, sir. We'll have none
I
of
got
that.
so many jokes. So many jokes.
Let them go, man. Let them go. They hurt if you hold them in too long.
I mean, the thing about the Rockbiter that got me was that bike that he rode on. You remember that little tricycle?
That's a great face it froze on. So anyway,
Adam, we're sorry you froze, man.
You froze, dude.
Where did you?
The bike.
You heard.
Right at about the time you made this face.
No, I was just saying that the thing about the Rockbiter that I thought was hilarious was that little that rock bicycle that he rode around on. You know what I'm talking about? It looks like it's from the Flintstones.
It's an old school one too. It's like the big wheel in the front and the little wheel in the back.
It's a rock big wheel.
I'm going through image search right now as we're talking, just so I can kind of relive and look at some of the fun stuff you guys are talking about here. I'm looking for the tricycle. I can't find it. I'm going to find it here in a second.
I know we're all over the place, but we do have a shout out right now, and I want to give him props. Chris Kahn, we love you, man, and we're glad we're glad you're there. I don't know.
We're glad you're alive.
We're glad you're alive. We're glad you're alive. We're glad you're with us. I don't know where I'm going with it, but we'll see you. We'll see you in October, pal.
That's right. We'll be there. It'll be here.
I'll be. I don't know if I'll be cheering or jeering.
I'll have a sign.
The Mega Flowers. Chris Kahn, Magnum CK, is one of the duo of the Mega Flowers, one of the premier tag teams in professional wrestling today, along with Gigolo Jock Sampson, and they will be appearing at Remix Pro Wrestling on October the 1st, taking on Devon Dudley and Marion Fontaine.
Marion Fontaine. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a fun show. Fun show.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And Justin Thomas just said Rockbiter had the Flintstone mobile going on, and which is true. So, the whole thing, I mean, you think about the guy with the racing snail. I can't remember his name. The racing snail, the Rockbiter, the wolf. Then you've got the scariest one of them all.
Glucket,
the scariest one of them all, the childlike empress.
She was
creepy, dude.
She was.
Yeah,
I agree.
Especially at the end when it's like she turns to the camera and addresses Bastion, and she has like the tears running down her face. She's like, "Bastion, help, please."
You're on your own. You're on your own, chick. I'm out.
Deuces. Oh, that's awesome. What's that?
Gamork. It's a drawing, apparently a rendering of. Yeah, I'm just
awesome.
Going through and saving stuff and putting it up there.
That's creepy. You know, one of the best things that I ever about this movie is Atreyu, because Atreyu is like the kid we always wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like we got picked on and all that stuff, and it's like we always wanted to be the kid that stood up to Gamork, pulled a rock, like a sliver of a rock out, and said, "Come at me, Gamork, come at me." You know, and I'm like, oh, I would. I mean, that's just like that's such an awesome lesson to learn. You know, as a kid, is, you know, it doesn't matter how scary this thing is, no matter how big or evil it is. You know, if you just trust in who you are and in your own abilities, you can look it dead in the face and say, "Come at me." You know what I mean?
Sure.
How awesome is that?
And it's a great parallel to the the real life incident that's going on with Bastion. I mean, he got ran in there by those bullies.
Yeah.
And this is a character that he is obviously wholeheartedly invested in, and he sees this guy stand up to one of the most, well, that picture's darn scary. I know I wouldn't be.
I think the nothing is hitching a ride on him. Did you see that?
Yeah. And I would, that right there would scare me to death. And a bully is nothing compared to looking at something like that. So
Right.
it's a great way to parallel, Bastion's, motivation to maybe stand up. And of course we get our, I won't spoil the ending for anybody, but we do get, we do. There's always a happy ending. I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to talk about the ending here. But
we will.
We always talk about the endings to everything.
All right.
If you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil the crap out of it for you. So
we've only had 34 years to get ready for it.
So there we have a picture of Atreyu and Artax, the horse. So we'll get back to Artax. Actually, no, let's go ahead and talk about it. This was the saddest moment in the movie
thank you.
in my childhood. So they're going through Artax and Atreyu are obviously best friends. And he loves Artax with everything in him. They're inseparable. But they decide they don't decide, they have to go through this thing called the Swamp of Sorrows. So you have to keep your mind from, you have to keep you from being sad and thinking about the sorrowful things in life, apparently, to get through this. And Artax just can't do it. And he's lost to the Swamp of Sorrows. And the whole time, Atreyu is just absolutely heartbroken, screaming for his, y'all, Jesse, why? That's just so sad.
Come on, Artax, get out. Come on.
I'm done.
Oh, I'm done.
Have you guys not seen the recent meme about, as a kid, I worried that quicksand would be a pretty big problem as an adult. It's not. And this movie is probably why. Even though this is a swamp, I remember him. I always thought it was quicksand. I was thinking, oh man, he's going into quicksand. This is what started it all. And then all of a sudden, from here on out, I think this is obviously the worst death by quicksand I've ever seen, or some whatever you want to call this, on film, because this is not a human dying. This is a horse. His faithful pal. His guy that he is, this is his... Please, continue, Ronnie Adams.
Yeah, twist the knife a little more there, Starcher. Twist the knife a little more.
Let me see if I can find another picture where you can just barely see his head. Hold on.
No.
I think that's like the last shot, and then it fades to black. The work find that picture.
All right. Except for that fact that I watched the extras on the DVD. Now I'm lying because I didn't watch it.
You haven't watched the movie, folks. You just watch the extras.
Yeah. He's the guy that listens to the commentary in the background and not
I'm
watching the
that
movie. I am too. So basically, you've ripped everyone's hearts out, and you've showed it to them as it slowly stops beating, and you've taken our hero, and you've put him into an almost just an unfathomable situation where he has to go on without his best friend and his beloved horse. It's just not just a horse. I have a dog. My dog is my best friend. I love my dog, and it's just one of those things where it's just a god awful experience for a child who's in a situation that he's in, who's trying to save a world, to have something like this taken away from him. So if you look at the movie as a whole, I mean, you've got so many parallels with I'm glad you touched on this, Jesse, because you got so many parallels with Bastion's life or any kid's life as it is, because he's facing these situations, these enemies, these bullies, and he he finds solace in his fantasy land, his Fantasia, by going to this book. And he has to face loss in his life, of friends, of loved ones, of family. And then he has to face the nothing, which symbolizes, as Justin pointed out on Twitter, which I actually picked up on. I'm not just stealing this from him, which it sounds like I am, but I promise I'm not.
Not stealing from you, but I'm stealing from you, and I'm not stealing from you.
Well, at least you gave him credit, so it's not
That's
really
right.
plagiarism.
You're giving him credit. Yeah, there you go.
The nothing symbolizes everyone growing up and losing their childlike demeanor,
Well,
of losing their imagination, of the nothing is eating away at this fantasy land and destroying it because they're growing up and they're forgetting what it's like to be a child.
Let me, if you don't mind, I want to read something from from Wikipedia, because it really kind of goes into detail better than I.
Okay.
When Atreyu
Bastion had lost his mother.
Yeah, but it was I think he'd fallen off of Falkor, and he was just by himself. So basically, Gamorreek actually had been waiting and hiding and things like that. But he reveals himself, and he explains that Fantasia represents humanity's imagination. So everything that we can possibly imagine and fathom is represented in Fantasia. And the nothing represents adult apathy and cynicism against it. So it is the nothing represents how you become as an adult if you lose that that imagination. So how does that make you feel as an adult? Anyway,
yeah.
So
also that when he's going through it also made, like, as I watched this, like, also made me wonder, like, what kids were imagining Gamorreek. Because everything in Fantasia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was there before the nothing was. There's some kids out there that was like, you know what? Let's do a scary wolf guy. Let's throw him in Fantasia.
Yeah,
Sure.
really.
You guys are saying this is Fantasia was a representation of the fantasies of all the children?
Children,
Right.
yes.
I think of Bastion. Personally,
just
I
of
think
Bastion?
of just Bastion. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and basically, what happens is the nothing actually begins to consume the ruins, where I guess I can't remember the name of the palace, but basically there's that little amulet, Arin. Anyway, Falkor manages to locate Arin and rescues Atreyu. So basically, the nothing comes in and just takes over and destroys everything. And then you find Falkor and Atreyu, and they only have two small fragments of Fantasia remaining, and that's it. And basically, at this point, it's when the movie gets really, really weird. And Atreyu apologizes, like, "I'm so sorry, I failed you." And the Empress says, no. And keep in mind, this is a book that this kid is reading.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts to plead to Bastion, because she's like, "No, there's a human child. Can you imagine reading this? There's a human child who has been following your quest." And then as the nothing starts to consume the tower, the Empress starts to plead directly to Bastion.
Yeah, that's
and
insane.
calls out her new name. He calls her out by her new name. So
I remember that point in the movie, and going like, "Oh crap," and freaking out and thinking about how cool that was. That they,
I know.
You talk about a fourth wall breach, my friends.
Yes. This
that
is the ultimate. This is the ultimate.
Yes, sir.
And basically, he calls out her new name, everything, and just goes to black. And then all of a sudden, it comes up, and she's there with the Empress, and she's holding in her hand the last grain of sand. And to me, this is the best part of the movie. As an adult, as a kid, it was like pretty cool, but as an adult, it's like, oh man, this is awesome. But he's holding the very last grain, or she's holding the very last grain of sand, and she kind of gives this little monologue about it, and she's like, "You have the power to bring Fantasia back in its full glory with your imagination, and you just have to use the power of that little amulet." So he basically recreates Fantasia. and he flies around on Falkor, recreating Fantasia. He sees everything that has been restored. Artax is back. So you're like, oh crap, Artax is dead. And the very end, you're like, oh, Artax is back. So you can see that your imagination can do anything. But Falkor says, you have one wish and you can wish for anything. And he does the absolute coolest thing ever. He says, all right. And the next scene you see him, he's flying around like New York City on Falkor.
Yeah.
And he chases down the bullies and everything.
30 years. I'll never forget that, man.
I'm like, man, this is the best ending of a movie ever. And now that I'm sitting here reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that my kids get I hope they get just as excited for this movie that I was. And I'm not going to tell them anything about it. I'm just going to let them find out on their own like I did. Because it's so much better.
Look at you go, this sucks, Dad.
So, well, then fine. We're going to watch the second one.
And
oh,
then
God, if you really
kids,
want to punish them, make them watch the third one.
With Jack Black.
Yeah.
Did not know it existed until last week.
Yep.
My kids will probably be the ones that's like, when Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke Skywalker's father, my kid will probably be like,
wait, what?
I knew that. I knew that.
Got a couple of
I
tweets
told
I
you
want to
that.
read out real quick. One of them was from Justin Thomas, one of our
Correspondent.
correspondents. I was going to say commentators. What is wrong with me? One of our correspondents. He did point out that the guy who had the racing style played the Oompa Loompa in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, really? That's a cool piece of trivia.
It is. And then we got from Magnum CK, the Magnum CK, at the Magnum CK. He said, basically, we were talking about something, and he called me identical twins. But he said, also, Atreyu's horse did not have to die. We didn't need to see that, which I completely agree. I think we all do. So, with Fantasia being a representation of basically childhood, fantasy, childhood imagination, and adulthood, basically wiping it out. Adam, that is not cool. You need to take that off your banner. That's terrifying.
What is it?
But
the childlike empress.
So anyway,
Wait, from this angle, she looks like one of the precogs from Minority Report.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, what kind of message is this sending kids? This movie? I mean, it's like it's not cool to grow up, or
it's way too over.
No,
kids. There's no way.
No. I think see that's the thing. That's where I think that we're selling our kids short a whole lot, because that's how I sit and watch I have a 2-year-old kid, man, who his imagination is just so far beyond mine. He can pick something up and he's automatically sees something in it, and I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. And it's one of those things that we can. We just have lost the ability to do it. And I think this movie says never lose the ability to use your imagination. And I think that's something that even like Steve Jobs did, Steve Jobs saw something in a computer that nobody else did, So I think that, to me, this is one of those things that is one of those movies that says never lose your ability to let your imagination run absolutely crazy.
So Adam believes that children would receive the message, or whatever message that you think is trying to receive. And Jesse, you say that.
Well, okay. Let me go ahead and backpedal. Okay.
No.
Let me.
No, you're on that road already. You got to take that road.
On your
Here I go.
bike, your rock biter bike.
Big wheel.
Adam made a good point, and I quickly dismissed it as saying that it's really way over the top of kids' heads, this particular movie. That's not the case. The purpose of this particular book is, this book and movie is so that both a child and an adult can enjoy it at the same time and look at what's being shown and get some enjoyable experience out of it. So I'm sitting here, I'm telling you, it's way over kids' heads. Well, look, I haven't watched this thing in probably 30 years, And it, in my opinion, is one of the most fantastic movies that I can remember watching in the 80s. Not only was it a great movie, but my friends, do you not remember the main title song for this soundtrack?
Yes.
Is that not the greatest song for one of the 80s? If you heard this song today, you would let it play. There's no skipping it. You would listen to it.
I don't remember it. I honestly don't remember it.
Okay,
No.
well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spoil it here for you. It is titled The NeverEnding Story.
So that's what I have to Google, right?
Sir, yes. Google NeverEnding Story. If you can, please. So you've changed your picture from the chick from the movie to Funyuns.
Oh, that was from what?
Do you not see your what's her name?
It showed
now
up.
I have a bag of Funyuns. Okay, all right. Just thought I'd point that out. But anyway, I agree with you 100%. Marsh, you want to get on and get in this?
Yeah.
I think as a kid, like, it tells you that, but as I watched it as an adult again, I saw some weird stuff. I don't know, but
weird stuff.
Yeah, well, like what Adam was saying, like, okay, you can't yes, it happened with Steve Jobs, but for every Steve Jobs, there's a million guys out on the street saying that they've seen stuff in computers, and those guys are in, like, white padded rooms right now.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
So you're saying there is a limit to the.
Yes, exactly. Like, you tell me that, like, all right, if Ronnie messaged you tomorrow and was like, Falcor's outside of my house, I'm getting a ride to work, I'll see y'all later.
Dude.
Like, you wouldn't automatically question his mental health.
Here's the thing. If Ronnie tomorrow sent me a message and said, I'm riding Falcor to work, I'm going to be like, dude, stop and pick me up. You know? But the thing is, that's just the kind of relationship that Ronnie and I have. Now, if it was some guy out in, like, you know, New Mexico who says, hey, Falcor's outside my house, I need you to come get rid of him, you know, then I'll be like,
You're like, sir, do you know what you have on your hands? That is a luck dragon. You don't just get rid of that.
Yes.
Listen, if I call you tomorrow and I'm saying I'm riding a luck dragon to work, I hope you don't call back and say, pick me up. I hope you call somebody to come pick me up and take me to a doctor because I obviously...
See, even Ronnie knows. See, even he knows. He's like, yeah, I'm insane. Just...
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
There's your adult
Crazy.
cynicism. You don't believe. There's your adult cynicism. You guys should, you know, if you're going to be calling the cops on somebody that says Falcor's out taking you to work, and you don't believe it, you're just a stinky old cynical adult.
Okay, if it's something that's like, if you can back it up with credentials, then I would believe it.
Wait.
All right.
That is
Wait.
Let it play, okay? Let it play just for a few.
Just feel it. Feel it. You have to feel this song. You don't just listen.
This is amazing. I do remember it. I mean, it's all coming back to me.
Hold on. Here it comes.
NeverEnding Story. NeverEnding
Wow, Searcher.
Story. That's some good stuff. And that is a great song, and it encapsulates the 80s for me. Oh, it's beautiful. Sing it. You just sing it.
You know, the thing about the thing about this is it's a German folk tale, really, more than anything. It's a German story. How much you want to bet there's some, you know, death metal band that has covered this song somewhere over in Norwegian death metal somewhere.
I will let you know right now on the Metal Hammer of Doom, every March, at least for the past couple years, we have done covers. Okay?
Yeah.
And I had the distinction to go on there and do covers with the guys. We just pick out covers. We have no idea who's picking what. And I was throwing stuff at them, and I did a whole rundown of, I think I picked 3 80s songs, and this was one of them redone by a metal band.
Beautiful.
Nice. That's so awesome.
Go back in the Rattleitcher Broadcasting Network archives, March of 2016.
Well, we're back.
So,
We're just going to do radio voices
right
from
now.
here on out.
all right, so we have a bit of trivia that was shot to us by Justin, and it says, trivia, what does Bastion yell at the end of the movie?
Moonchild. It's also, yeah, Adam was talking about that.
Moonchild.
He names her after his mother.
Yes.
Yeah, it was his mother's name. Yeah.
That's
Yes,
what he
sir.
yells at the end of the movie. He doesn't yell like
Man.
right on. I thought Falcor like flied at the screen and here he comes and then that's the end. That wasn't the end?
Wait, did you? He asked what he's. Well, I'm guessing.
Towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. The question was.
Oh, I thought he'd be like, right on, and then Falcor just flies off in the distance, and that's the end.
We really need to get you to watch this movie.
Apparently,
Again.
I need to watch the movie. Right
I
here
don't
it
think
is.
Right On. I don't think
Let's
Right
take a
On
short
was
break.
ever yelled in that.
We'll be
Toss
back
on
after
one.
this hour and a half break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll find it on YouTube and then we'll broadcast it as part of our podcast.
That's awesome.
We'll talk about,
I
we'll
don't
get
think we can
sued.
do that. Yeah.
We get sued out the wazoo.
So,
Wait, what if
all
we
right.
play with no sound? Can we get away with that?
Well, what we'd have, well, maybe we'd have to.
People do those, like, trailer
You can
reactions
speed it
and
up.
all.
You can speed it up. I think.
Yeah.
Like if you speed it up, it's technically not the same. I
Here's
don't
the
know.
show
I
on the
think
rails.
that's kind of a.
Here's the show on the rails, and here's the show now. Oh my God, we're all gonna die. So anyway, as I was saying, I don't know where I was going. Obviously, the three of us, Jesse, Adam, and myself, didn't get to watch it due to different circumstances. But Steven did his homework, and he is going to get a gold star, and he gets bonus points for answering the trivia question, and answering the trivia question beyond the trivia question, which I was going to ask. Moonchild, and why was he yelling Moonchild, and then he just went ahead and just answered it. And then, and Justin just told us what Bastion actually yells when he's riding on Falcor towards the end of the movie, and it's just, yeah!
He yells.
So anyway, if we were to watch this now, I mean, honestly, or if we Jesse and Adam grabbed their kids and sat down with them, I've had unfortunate experiences in the past with trying to relive my childhood through watching different things. Do you think, Stephen Marsh, this would hold up, stand the test of time, and we would enjoy it as much as we did, or enjoy it a great deal in a different way now?
It's a different way. I mean, I'm not saying, because I watched it last night by myself, and then I tried to get Matthew to watch it with me today, and he was, like, sort of in and out of it, like 4-year-olds are.
My kid the same way.
Yeah, it's definitely worth, like, sharing with your kids, obviously they're going to see it through different eyes than we do. But I still thought, like, it was an okay movie, just, like, there were things in it that were, like, okay, this would work in, like, today's world. Just the adult.
There it is.
To make Jesse happy.
So that was my next question: was if you had, did you get your son to watch it with you? So he, well, as much as you can with a a toddler or a 4-year-old. It's one of those things. Like Netflix. When I first signed up for Netflix, I noticed that G.I. Joe, the first season, was on there. And I said, holy crap.
Here we go.
Here we go. So, and then as I dove a little deeper, Transformers, the first season, was on there. I was like, this just keeps getting better. So what do? I add them in. I get the DVDs. I say, bring them to me. I want to relive my childhood. So the first one I popped in because I was a big G.I. Joe fan was G.I. Joe, the first season. And by episode 2, I took it out. And then I said, well, Transformers has got to be better. By half of episode 1, I took it out.
No, it was awful, man.
I mean, back then as a child, it was amazing. It was the best thing ever. But as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have just left this in good memories. I should have left I should have left my imagination, the way it was, the way I remember things.
Oh man,
I actually ended up putting in.
Growing up sucks.
Growing up sucks. So I ended up putting the 1986 Transformers the movie in.
The movie.
Which
great soundtrack. Tremendous soundtrack.
A phenomenal soundtrack. One of the few soundtracks that has, for no apparent reason, has Weird Al on it. But
Dare to Be Stupid by Weird Al.
Dare to Be Stupid. Mm-hmm. Dare to Be Stupid. But
Back in the Rat Let Your Rock. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to plug Metal Hammer of Doom again.
With those experiences under my belt, as far as trying to relive something from my childhood that that was meant for kids, I was a little scared to, and obviously I didn't get to, and I apologize, but I was honestly scared to watch this again because I don't want it to suck. There are movies from my childhood that will never be bad because they were made for adults as well. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all of those movies, that I remember as watching as a kid that I watch now, and that they're still just as good. But with something that was made for kids, and I go back as an adult to watch it, has the nothing taken me over, and I just go, oh my God, this is stupid, or would I like it? So it's good to know that as an adult you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you found a different aspect of it to enjoy, whereas your son or your all's kids can look at it and go, wow, this is great because this is an imaginary world where I can let my mind go wild. So
yeah.
And it's kind of disheartening when I was doing my research on the actual movie to know that the author of the book disavows the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he doesn't like it.
That's funny. Well, that's not funny. I'm just saying that's interesting, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah.
Because the movie was such. I mean, think about it though. If you think, okay, let's back up a little bit. The book is like 500 pages long. Okay? So
yeah.
Which
I believe I own, by the way. I've never read it, but I think I own.
You own the book and both movies, and you've never.
It's like I just buy stuff. I just buy stuff not to use it. You should see all
the third movie. Don't give too much credit.
You should see all the comics I've never read. I have. It's ridiculous. And that's just it's stupid.
I think I have seen them. Those gigantic boxes that you come home with.
It's bad. It's bad. I need help. But I do believe I got the book at an auction. I lucked into it somehow, and I kept it because again, this movie impacted me so much.
Story, man.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
And I think Steven just sent us something via Facebook. He said,
"Funny, that's what I sent. It's the original People 15 article about him not liking the movie."
Yeah, it's called a disgusting film and everything. Mainly because he feels that it strayed so far from his cheap plug source material, his book, that they miss completely the whole idea of it. But when you look at people like us talking about it and reliving it and going deeper than probably should in it about talking about the childhood and don't let your adulthood kill your childhood and with the nothing and blah blah blah.
Oh, that's a good phrase, man.
Yeah, don't let your adulthood kill your childhood. Yeah, I'm going to copyright that. But
yeah, I'm tweeting
better
that
run
right
it
now.
through me.
Jesse first. You couldn't even say that C word.
I copyrighted copyright. Remember?
Crap! I'm gonna. I can't even say C with a circle around it because that's copyrighted as well. So how can someone look at it? And I've never read the book, and I need to read the book, I guess, to understand where he's coming from. But how could you say that it missed the point when people are looking at it and go, this is part of my childhood. This was this helped my imagination. This I remember watching this as a kid, and it was so awesome. Things like that. how could you say the film is disgusting? Now, one of the things that he pointed out that I can understand where he's come from. Were the sphinxes the oracle with the anatomic correctness, and he didn't know why they put that in there, and nobody really knows why. I mean, people know why they put that in there. I know why they put that in there, but nobody really knows why they needed to put that in there, other than their own thoughts and desires and everything like that. But
oh my
so
God,
I agree with that.
I just realized that some kid imagined those. Based on Canaan.
Oh my God, Steven!
Right?
Yes! You
Boom.
shattered my world. We're done. Show's over.
I'm done. I'm not gonna let my kids. Watch that.
Oh, Marsh, that was amazing.
Real quick, though, I want to point out that the original article is from August 27th, 1984. So it is like when the movie was coming out. So he didn't have those people. He didn't have the adults like now saying that how the movie. Like,
that's true.
And he also he's also didn't see the downfall of the American society, starting with the children. So, and as far as I'm concerned, if they watch that movie as compared to something else, I'd be happy.
Is he
still around?
I don't know.
Yes.
I'll have to go to the internet. You guys go ahead and talk. I'll find out. I should probably ask the internet before I ask you guys next time.
Yeah, make it seem like you already know.
Yeah, I need to get this stuff figured out before I start talking that way. It sounds like I'm smart.
Yeah.
It's a classic. It's the classic snobby answer of, "Oh, the book's better than the movie," but is it really?
I don't know. I've never read
it really.
I don't know. If I think it has from what I've read, like it has a way different tune, and that's why it's like how the Hansel and Gretel we know is like this happy-go-lucky fairy tale, but like really it's the exact same thing with it.
Well, it's all of Grimm fairy tales. The Grimm's fairy tales were really dark and kind of sadistic.
They were. They truly were.
I mean, you look at Cinderella. In the end, when they were trying to put the shoes on the stepsister's feet, they actually took a knife and cut off part of their feet.
To make it fit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think they were the stepmother and the stepsisters were sentenced to death by enchanted shoes, and they had to dance. Or no, they put like I think it was like red hot iron shoes on them and made them dance or something like that until they died. Or somebody died in every Grimm's fairy tale. Every Grimm's fairy tale. In a horrible,
but they died in some sadistic
fashion.
Way. I mean,
in some horrible fashion.
Think about Hansel and Gretel. They found this gingerbread house and they start eating it, and the witch there is saying, "Oh yeah, eat up," and then she tries to eat them. Like she's like, "I want to eat children." I mean, how crazy is that?
And then you got most of the originals are a little darker, so it's probably got a darker tone to it. But you can't nowadays. You can't crap on something that has given so much joy over so many years. I was talking to a friend of mine who she's Tess, and we were talking about stuff, and I said, "Oh, hey, guess what? The NeverEnding Story is being re-released," and she flipped out. She's like, "Oh my God, I gotta go see it! And then she actually, I think she bought her ticket that night to go see it. She went online, bought the ticket, and she's ready to go. And it's one of those things like she's in her in her 20s, so something that has given so much joy over the years, and they remember so fondly from their childhood, can't be that bad, man. So you got this movie, I think my judgment call is going to say that it does hold up over time in a different way. So
yeah, I agree. I think I think this thing does hold up over time, kind of like Star Wars and those kind of Indiana Jones, movies like that. I think this one does hold up over time very well.
Mm-hmm. So, any closing thoughts, guys? Anything that you want to get out there or you want to say?
Michael Ende did pass away, actually, the 28th of August in 1995.
Oh, wow.
So that was this past Sunday in 95, so it's crazy stuff.
Goodness.
But
over 20 years.
It's going to be interesting to see the re-release. I'm excited for that. That sounds great. I hope that it gets the fanfare that it deserves, because it is a tremendous piece of it's a tremendous piece of film history for sure. And it's a great story.
Amazing fantasy story. Justin just tweeted us and said he watches this every year along with Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal.
Ooh. That'd be a cool movie day.
Never seen The Dark Crystal. I have yet to see it.
That's just as scary, man.
Would you guys like to know something?
Sure.
I own The Dark Crystal. And I've owned it for probably
folks.
7 or 8 years too. That's what's sad.
Wow.
I've
See,
never seen it.
I love The Dark Crystal, and I need to find it on Blu-ray because I just started collecting. I bought a couple of them, the Funko Pop vinyls.
Yeah, I remember you rattling a few of those off, and I was like, I don't know who that is. I don't know that guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
So,
but you'll buy them anyway, though, right?
I'll put them on a shelf.
No,
I don't know.
I know who they are, but he doesn't know who they are. So.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Dark obsession of mine, pop vinyls. It's too much money. But guys, we really appreciate you. Telling us, your thoughts and your memories of NeverEnding Story. And any closing thoughts, starting with Stephen Marsh.
I have a
Okay.
few. No,
Go for it.
I don't know. I could ramble for a while. I'm just deciding if I want to ramble or not. Just about the terrible instructions.
Rant away, man. Rant away.
Well, just
Dude,
I
this is.
I just wanted to go over that article that I had sent you, Adam. You didn't get it, but how it promotes stealing as long as you leave a note.
What?
He goes into the bookstore and he's just like, "Hey, I'll return your book."
Go on.
And then he proceeds to stay at school all night. Even after the bell wakes him up and then everybody goes home, he proceeds to stay in the attic. Never once called his dad to let him know he's okay. Right?
We had peanut butter sandwiches.
So no, his dad just had a conflict that morning, and then all of a sudden he doesn't come home. So his dad's probably flipping out, thinking, "Oh well, I've said something terrible to my kid, and now he's run off, probably dead or something."
That's horrible.
He's flying on a dragon at the end of the movie. You don't really remember that stuff when you're flying on a dragon. You don't remember to call Dad when you're caught up in a fantasy world where the nothing is taking over, and then all of a sudden you realize that you can fly on a freaking dragon. You can fly down, you can swoop down and say, "Dad, I'm okay." And I think because you're on a luck dragon, everything will be forgiven.
I don't think that's how that would work. If I would have been a kid and I would have been out all night, came home, and be like, "Mom, it's okay, I got a dragon." There still would have been a million questions as to how I would have got this dragon.
On a dragon.
Think about it though. When I was little, and I'd say little, meaning before the age of 16. If I were going to go anywhere with any of my friends, the only way, and cell phones weren't around then, so you guys will definitely know. Well, I think we can all remember when cell phones weren't around. If you were to go somewhere, you had to leave your parents a note, and leave your parents a note. So it's he's flying around, they're all having a good time, then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, Falcor, dude, hang a right, I gotta go leave my parents a note." And he flies this thing up to the third floor of his apartment, goes in, writes his parents a note, throws it up on the fridge and says, "Okay, we're good at least until 8."
gotta be back by 8.
I just want to throw out something here. Delving into Wikipedia, film histories, and all that fun stuff. Kid that played Atreyu.
Yes.
I believe
Hathaway, something
Noah Hathaway.
Yeah.
1986, starred in a movie called Troll.
Yes.
All right. Character's name? Harry Potter Jr.
What?
Oh, you're kidding me. Seriously?
Not joking.
That's hilarious.
Harry Potter Jr.
That's hilarious. There's got to be something. There's got to be Reddit forum somewhere on that exact topic.
Wonderful. Wow. What else, Steven? What else you got there, man?
There's a couple other ones, but the big one, I think. Do you remember how to get past the Southern Oracle without getting blasted away?
You had like a pure heart or something, didn't you?
Right? You had to know your own self-worth. How does Atreyu get through?
He runs.
Yeah. So like running always like as like you can just like run through the test like not run through all your problems.
Not a good lesson.
Right? It's like
no. Let's analyze that for just a second. So what happens is isn't there like a knight that goes through, like you can't see his face though, like, and as he's going through.
Yeah.
Now what was that now?
No, you're fine. You're on the right track. I'm just.
Well, there's a knight that goes through. So he gets out to the middle of this thing, and all of a sudden those balls of light come down and just disintegrate him from the inside out, which is weird because his suit of armor stays there, but everything inside gets presumably liquefied because there's like steam coming out of his visor. But if I remember correctly, why did the knight get? Because I mean they're like the most arrogant people in the entire world, you know. Why did he get blasted? And then when Atreyu runs through, I mean, granted, Atreyu knew, that I can do this.
Well, it's because
why did the knight do that?
Well, it's like the arrogance thing. See, he thought that it's about self-worth, so he thought that he was like arrogant, so he thought that he was better than what he was, so that's why he got blasted. Now Atreyu's doing completely fine. Also, there's a continuity issue in this that really bugs me because I'm a continuity.
Of course there is. Of course there's a continuity issue.
Of course, yeah.
It's
about luck dragons, but there's a continuity issue.
Well, I'm just like when Atreyu's first walking up, the sand blows over the knight, and all of the knight gets like sunk under the sand. But then in the very next like wide shot, the knight is like uncovered again. But that's how. What happens is like the wind blows again, it blows the visor open, and you see like the knight's face melted off. And then that's when Atreyu starts doubting himself. And instead of just turning around, like the eyes are opening up, he's like, you know what? I'll just run through this. I should be fine.
Well, I mean, you hit a good point there because that actually is one of those things. It's like, you get halfway through a really like tough problem. You start out thinking I can do this. You get halfway through and you're like, oh man, what have I gotten myself into? So at that point, you just say, okay, I have to just power through this thing. I have to get through on my own. I have to get through using my own set of skills that have been given. So you just take off running and you go as fast and as hard as you can. I think that's the lesson to be learned there, rather than continuity issues.
And then just an upper, because I've wrote a lot of downers, but I'd like to believe that after Atreyu killed the wolf, he grew up, transitioned into our world, and then went on to become the star of the movie The Grey.
The Grey.
Wow. And then you don't know what happens to him after that.
Right. It's part of the NeverEnding Story.
Oh, all right.
Where's my sound effects board here?
No sound effects. We've had enough sound effects with the singing. All right, so guys, I think we're going to end on that. So thank you so much, Stephen Marsh. We're going to start with you. Tell us what you do, where you can find us, all that, or where we can find you, I should say. Kick it off.
You trying to stalk me again? Is that what's going on here? No, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen R. Marsh, Facebook Stephen Marsh, and then I usually just add random people because that's my thing, and then I'll delete you if I feel necessary or whatever. But that's it for me.
There you go.
You get like a 1-week test drive. And if you like it, you stick around. If not, get out of here.
Oh.
Very cool. Jesse Starcher. Go.
At Stiznarkey on Twitter if you'd like to follow. I also do a great, fun comic book podcast on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. It is called Source Material, where we discuss all the great and sometimes not so great story arcs out there in the comic book genre. Upcoming this September. Remember that depressing September, Alan Moore month.
Jeez, I can't believe, man. I cannot believe that you're not like suicidal right now.
I am. From Hell is done. The Watchmen is done. V for Vendetta is about 1/8 finished, so I've got to work my way through that. But anyway,
so you've read the first 10,000 pages.
Oh, dude, I honestly want to look to see how many words I've read, because if you look at an Alan Moore comic and you see there's no art. Because it's all freaking words. Yeah. It's just like there's his face, and there's 9,000 words in a word balloon all around him. It's just overwhelming. But
I pray that you, after reading each one of those, From Hell, Watchmen, what was it, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I pray that you have, directly after that, you watched some cartoons,
you
read like an Archie comic,
some cake and ice cream.
Watch the NeverEnding Story, man.
Oh yeah,
cleanse your palate.
Exactly, we want you to survive because reading that much Alan Moore is not healthy.
Oh man,
no, it's not.
So this month we're going to do those 4 books that they mentioned. We're going to do Watchmen, and I think we're doing League, and then it's V for Vendetta, and then From Hell is going to round us out. And we're going to do that 4 weeks straight through the month of September on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. It's going to be on Thursdays. We're tag teaming with Long Road to Ruin, where we're going to discuss the book and then the film, same podcast. So I know Ronnie's going to be on for League, I believe, right?
I think so, yeah, because I want to destroy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the movie.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, check it out. We'll be doing those broadcasts here upcoming for September. I've mentioned the aforementioned Metal Hammer of Doom. We just did a pirate metal band called Running Wild. Okay, and they did an album called Rapid Foray. And I wasn't too big a fan of the album, but if you'd like to get a taste of what pirate metal, this band's been around since 1970, a year before I was born, 77. So now it hasn't been all pirate metal since then, but at some point they made the conscious decision to go and do pirate metal, and they've been doing it well ever since. One of Mark's favorite favorite bands, and of course got on there with Robert Cooper, so you can go check that out. We had a lot of fun discussing it. I wasn't too big of a fan. Mark liked it, and I think Robert Cooper just decided to do nothing but puns the whole show. So, you guys could hear my great story about the yard sale. I had a tremendous idea about doing a yard sale, and I would have a pirate theme going on while selling stuff in my yard.
You'd make a mint.
I told Robert Cooper, I said, it's money, man.
Money.
I got nothing but crap from the guys. So anyway, you can check that story out on the Metal Hammer of Doom. Other than that, I mean, Cheap Seats at some point is going to be coming back. Me, Jason Teasley, good friend Teasley, as he's known on here on the Screaming Boy Network. He will be showing up here at some point. We're going to do a NFL podcast, I'm sure of it. I've got my fingers crossed he'll be coming back. He's a working man, so we understand that.
Yeah.
At some point in the future here, we also got a He-Man cast, I think, slated to record here pretty soon, so keep an ear out for that. and give the Rattling Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like. Stay up on top of all the great podcasts that are out there that we offer. We won't bum you out with a bunch of extra posts. We just post what's coming up on the network. See if you like it. Check it out. We're on Blog Talk Radio. We're on Stitcher. We're on iTunes. We're on TuneIn Radio. That's all I have.
Jesse, with Metal Hammer Doom, I can only imagine that the group meeting with that band went with like this. Guys, everything else has failed. What can we do next? And one guy in the back goes, pirate metal?
Listen.
And they're like, John, you're a genius, you magnificent man. Pirate metal it is.
Here's the thing, okay? I didn't know what pirate metal was until Metal Hammer of Doom brought Ailstorm to my ears.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. I could not think of it.
I
was
love
sitting there thinking of Ailstorm.
Yeah.
This last album that they did had a Back to the Future reference in pirate metal. Just write it down. I'm a fan. Oh, it worked. It worked. I was a big fan. Actually, that album, a tremendous album, and that's why I felt. I won't get too in depth with it, but I liked Ailstorm so much because they brought humor and the songs that they had. You didn't take them seriously. This band, Running Wild. Okay, I don't know if you guys are a fan of Amon Amarth, which is Viking metal.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
They're good. I like them.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now they do some good songs and tell you some great history, but that's kind of like what these guys do. I just wasn't a fan. They're trying to tell you a story about yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. Of course, it had nothing like that. But I mean, Black Sails, Red Flag, or Black Skies, Red Flag. Yeah, I just couldn't. After hearing Ailstorm, these guys paled in comparison. But hey, Ailstorm, check them out too. Review Metal Hammer of Doom. Go back in the archives. I'm done.
You were like the shillingest shill that ever shilled. And
I was once a
more
member of
cheap
the Shield.
pops than Mick Foley.
I was once a member of the Shield.
I love it, dude. I love it. Sell your stuff, man. I love it. And with good reason too, because listen, Metal Hammer of Doom and its source material, wonderful shows. I mean, I'm on source material with Jesse. He allows me to be on there, even though I'm probably
he's the
contribute
co-host.
Nothing.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
But listen, it's a lot of fun. Great show. Jesse is also our comic book correspondent on this show. So, Adam Runyon, what's going on?
You can find me on Twitter at AdamIsANerd, but right now I've been doing a lot of work on the website, so I would appreciate it if everybody goes to screamingboy.com, check out our new layout. I put a lot of hard work, a lot of time into it, so I sound like I'm pleading. I'm not really pleading with you.
I am.
Please go to my website. I really want you to look at my website. But no, you'll find everything that you can possibly want to find on screamingboy.com. We got, our Instagram feed is on there. We write little cool articles about stuff. We wrote one about the NeverEnding Story. We wrote one about Stranger Things. So and something else that I wanted to touch on about NeverEnding Story. I kind of wanted to tie it into Stranger Things. So you had the evil part of NeverEnding Story was called the Nothing. So you had the evil part of Stranger Things, which is called the Upside Down. So, as a kid, if there's something that you can kind of just give a name to, just this vague name to, and let everybody else's imagination run wild, it's going to be 10 times scarier, right? Am I right?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And Seinfeld kind of picked that up with Man Hands, Close Talker.
I didn't ever really like Seinfeld, but that's so true. Yeah.
But anyway, on with my stuff. If you go to screenboy.com, you can leave us any kind of comments on stuff. Let us know what you think. Again, articles galore, pictures. If you don't like it, let us know. If you do like it, let us know.
And there is a contra code on there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're on the website, on a desktop or a laptop, you can push up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, and something very special happens. You have to
Yep.
see it for yourself. I'm not going to ruin it for you.
Yep, and let me know. Let me know when you do that. Comment on it. Let me know, and you might get a gold star or something.
All right, guys. You can find the show on Twitter at Screaming Boy PR. You can find us on Instagram at Screaming Boy Podcast on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Just look up Screaming Boy Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Apparently, we're on something called Podcat. I didn't know. So you can find us on that. We are working on a bunch of different stuff. You can find us on the Radulation Broadcasting Network amongst all these other great shows that we have mentioned. And guys, we want you to, if you enjoy the show, tell your friends. Tell them to start downloading it. Listen to us on all of those, including YouTube, which you're doing right now if you are listening to us on YouTube. Rate us, give us those 5 stars. Get in contact with us, info@screamingboy.com or through any of our social media sites because we want to hear from you. It's been a blast. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night. I was supposed to say something. I can't remember what it is, so forgive me. Steven, I know you sent it to me, so I've just ruined it. But this is how we're going to end the show.
Wait, can
No
I do
one
it?
can give.
Can I find it? Oh, yes,
I
you got
actually got it. Yeah. No one can give you any advice except this. You must go alone, and you must leave all your weapons behind. It will be very dangerous.
My hip-hop will block the shot. My hip-hop